Chapter 91 Tiandou Royal Academy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The three of them left the Qinghe Great Forest in a hurry. They didn't breathe a sigh of relief until the trees that blocked out the sun disappeared and the sun shone again. After leaving the forest, they relaxed instantly. The feeling of being tense all the time is really not very pleasant. Grandpa, can we stop by Tiandou City on the way back? Duguyen suddenly asked softly in the luxurious carriage. Douluo was stunned for a moment, then his eyes relaxed. Grandpa, there is no problem here, it depends on what this kid wants, but Yan, why do you suddenly want to go to Tiandou City? I want to go back to see Lingling. After Douluo briefly explained her purpose, she looked up at Lin Chuan beside her, showing a pitiful look. Lin Chuan couldn't stand this weird look, he just felt hairy all over, and nodded quickly. Okay, since it's on the way, let's stay in Tiandou City for a few days. Xiaochuan, you are so nice. Douluo's expression changed instantly, and she was overjoyed. Douluo on the side couldn't help but laugh and joked, why? Only this stinky boy is good, is Grandpa not good? The sudden teasing immediately made the girl's pretty face full of blush. Oh, Grandpa is good too. Douluo lowered her head tenderly, but there was a bright smile on the corner of her mouth, with a hint of shyness, which was just the right decoration, making her look more attractive. No wonder it is said that a woman's blush is better than a long dialogue. Lin Chuan now truly experienced it. Perhaps Douluo teased too much, the atmosphere in the carriage was a little out of control, and coupled with the fatigue during this period, no one spoke again, and the carriage fell into silence for a while. Douluo leaned on Lin Chuan's shoulder and fell asleep without knowing when. Looking down at the long eyelashes of the beauty beside him, Lin Chuan did not push them away, but summoned the Luoxia Bao in his hand and slowly closed his eyes. You have carefully felt the world, benefited a lot, and your understanding of the mystery of the fire element has been greatly deepened. Walking and stopping, after a period of bumps, Tiandou City is also within reach. This is also Lin Chuan's second visit to Tiandou City. At first, it was a rush, and I didn't have time to experience the prosperity of various places in Tiandou City. Now that I have the opportunity, maybe I can take a good look here, and I can't just practice blindly. It's most reasonable to combine work and rest, the residence specially given to Douluo by the Tiandou Empire. Yan, you two go shopping, Grandpa won't get involved, but remember to come back early. After leaving this sentence, Douluo returned to the room and became a otaku. Although he has a weird temper, he is still perceptive. Two young people are communicating their feelings. Why does he, an old guy, have nothing to do to spoil the fun? Then let's go. Douluo cheered in her heart, but she was able to remain calm on the surface. The two went out together and walked on the streets of Tiandou City. Yanzi, what are we going to do now? Lin Chuan asked suddenly. Douluo pursed her red lips, thought carefully, and smiled brightly. How about I take you to Tiandou Royal College and introduce you to a friend by the way? That's fine. Since they decided to relax for a few days, Lin Chuan naturally didn't have too many requirements for where to go, so under the leadership of Douluo, the two went to Tiandou Royal College without rushing. Along the way, the girl did not forget to tell Lin Chuan about the basic situation of Tiandou Royal College. For her who had studied here for a few years, this kind of thing can be said to be as simple as knowing the back of her hand. After a while, Lin Chuan and Douluo left Tiandou City. It is worth mentioning that Tiandou Royal College is not in Tiandou City. According to Douluo's description, it is probably because there is no suitable place in the city, and they are afraid that the extravagant life will affect the students' practice, so they put the college outside the city. This is not much different from Renxue College. However, Tiandou Royal College is not far from Tiandou City, only about 20 kilometers. After walking for about an hour, we arrived at the destination. What a big mountain, it's really a big deal. Lin Chuan looked up at the towering mountain in front of him and couldn't help but exclaimed. Although Renxue College is also built near Feishuang Mountain, it is completely dwarfed by the mountain where Tiandou Royal College is located. This is the foundation of the Tiandou Empire, which is not comparable to the Shui family. Not only that, even the environment is quite good, surrounded by mountains and rivers, and full of various vegetation. It looks like a paradise. Seeing Lin Chuan like this, Douluo smiled. Let's go, Xiaochuan, let me take you for a good walk. Lin Chuan rolled his eyes immediately, but still followed, walking on the tree-lined path on the hillside, enjoying the scenery along the way, but before taking a few steps, several figures suddenly appeared in sight. From the light yellow school uniforms, it can be seen that they should be students of Tiandou Royal Academy. "Stop, who are you?" A young man spoke sternly, blocking the way of Lin Chuan and the others. Lin Chuan raised his eyebrows slightly, and before he could speak, Douluo beside him took a step forward and looked at the dozen guys in front of him with a bad look. "What? Avalanche, I left less than a year ago, and you don't recognize me?" Unlike the gentleness in front of Lin Chuan, Douluo's style at this time was called fierce. The leading young man rubbed his eyes, and finally recognized Douluo. The disdain on his face completely disappeared, and instead he showed an embarrassed smile. "It turns out to be Sister Yan. It's not that you have changed too much. We were temporarily. I'm stupid, I didn't recognize it." This doesn't sound like he's trying to fool anyone. Douluo has indeed changed a lot. The original short dark purple hair has all faded away and turned into black hair. If you haven't seen her for a long time, you may not be able to recognize her. "Sister Yan, why did you come back suddenly?" Shabby smiled coquettishly, his expression full of flattery, and asked cautiously, "This is not at all like the posture a prince should show." "What? Do I have to report to you when I come back?" Douluo snorted and suddenly showed a very dangerous smile. Seeing this scene, Shabby seemed to be recalling some bad scene. His face turned pale, and his eyes showed some fear. Sister Yan was joking, of course not. You can come back anytime. Tiandou Royal Academy will always welcome you. It's good to know. Seeing that Shabby was so understanding, Douluo stopped pressing him. "Xiao Chuan, let's go." The girl turned around, her strong posture disappeared instantly, and she smiled sweetly at Lin Chuan. Such a huge contrast. It was as if the cold and charming person just now was not her. Sure enough, women from any world are very good at changing their faces. Lin Chuan complained silently in his heart, but nodded calmly on the surface. All the students from Tiandou Royal Academy hurriedly hid on both sides and got out of the way. At the same time, with a flattering smile on their faces, they watched the two people leave with great enthusiasm. When the bodies were intertwined, Lin Chuan's eyes swept over the avalanche calmly. The fourth prince of the Tiandou Empire gave people the impression that he was too cowardly and a pure playboy, but he knew that all this was just a disguise by the other party. He actively pretended to be crazy and acted stupidly, even at the expense of being humiliated. This was not something ordinary people could do. Did it, therefore, Shabby is the one who can accomplish great things. After a brief glance, Lin Chuan withdrew his gaze. Although he admired Shabby's forbearing character, he did not intend to have too much contact with him. Unconsciously, the two people gradually moved away, and everyone who stayed there breathed a sigh of relief. "Boss, why do you think this poisonous girl Douluo suddenly came back again?" A younger brother approached Shabby and couldn't help but ask softly. "How do I know?" Shabby immediately glared at him and gritted his teeth. "This woman ran away and suddenly came back. It's really unlucky." Hearing this, a group of younger brothers quickly opened their mouths to come to the rescue. Shabby waved his hand impatiently. Okay, this woman has ruined my good mood. Let's go back to school." "Ah." All the boys immediately started to cry out, but after seeing Shabby's expression change, they quickly calmed down their emotions and nodded honestly. Shabby walked at the front, where no one could see him, his eyes shimmering. Why did Douluo suddenly change so much? Something must have happened to his sudden transfer of schools, so is it related to the boy next to him? Perhaps we can find someone to test it out. Thinking of this, Shabby suddenly had an idea in his mind. On the other side, Lin Chuan entered the mountain under the leadership of Douluo, and the scale of Tiandou Royal Academy was immediately revealed. The air in the mountains is not only fresh, but also very humid, giving people a refreshing feeling. "Yanzi, how long do we have?" "It should be here soon, not far ahead." Leaving the mountain road and walking onto a small road, after winding around, the sound of gurgling water suddenly came to my ears, and the smell of plants was everywhere in the air. Douluo looked happy. "We're almost there." Lin Chuan nodded slightly, and indeed sensed many auras in front of him, one of which contained a very strong aura of life, which should be the Yilingling he was looking for. Passing through the dense forest, a clear spring comes into view. At the edge of the pool, a sweet girl was sitting cross-legged. The girl looked to be in her early 20s, with a slender figure, but her face was covered with a layer of black gauze, and her long blue hair like the sea was scattered around. Behind. Lingling is indeed here. As if disturbed by the sudden shout, the girl frowned slightly, her long eyelashes trembled, and she slowly opened her eyes. Yen. After seeing that familiar face, Yilingling couldn't help but be stunned. Yen stepped forward quickly and took Yilingling's hand, with a look of joy on his face. Long time no see, Lingling. Yilingling stood up slowly, his expression still unchanged. Long time no see, Yen, why did you suddenly come to Tiandou Royal Academy? Of course I miss you. I happened to pass by Tiandou City and came back to see you. How are you doing recently? How have you been since I left? The girl shook her head, her voice was pleasant but somewhat hollow. It's okay, just like before. Being as cold and concise as ever, this gave Yen a headache and he couldn't help complaining. Lingling, you are still like this, can't you smile more? With you like this, you probably don't even have anyone to talk to in school, right? Yilingling didn't respond, but it could be seen from the girl's expression that she didn't care. Seeing this, Yen could only sigh. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. I'll introduce you to someone. There should be another chapter in the evening. I am a little slow in typing, please forgive me, dear readers. Also, thank you for subscribing. Chapter 92 Yanzi, Take Me Away. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yen pulled Yilingling to Lin Chuan. Xiao Chuan, please introduce me. This is Yilingling, a good friend of mine from Tiandou Royal Academy. Lingling, this is Lin Chuan, my friend. After a pause in his words, anyone could hear something strange. Yilingling had a rare curiosity in her heart, but she still didn't say anything. Hello, my name is Lin Chuan, nice to meet you. Lin Chuan smiled and said hello, but did not choose to extend his hand. After all, when facing the opposite sex, it is better to avoid physical contact before knowing the other person's habits. This will not only avoid offending, but also avoid embarrassment to each other. Yilingling. Yilingling nodded slightly, his voice was cold, and he looked very indifferent. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little awkward, Lin Chuan took the initiative to suggest to Yen, Yanzi, you and Miss Yi haven't seen each other for so long, why don't we chat first while I walk around by myself? Okay, but Xiao Chuan, don't go too far. Yen also knew Yilingling's character. In the past, he could not even chat with the members of the Tiandou team, let alone a stranger he had just met. Lin Chuan smiled and agreed, jumped up to a tree and sat down against the trunk, facing the light breeze. Looking down, you can clearly see the scenery in the distance. A rare sense of comfort suddenly surged into my heart. It's true that I haven't felt this relaxed for a long time. It feels really good to relax my tense body and mind occasionally and just relax and enjoy life. This is probably what it feels like to pick chrysanthemums under the eastern fence and see the Nan Shan mountain leisurely. No wonder many people like to live in seclusion in the mountains. The scenery in front of them is enough to attract people. Lin Chuan hummed a tune in his mouth and closed his eyes leisurely. Don't worry about him, Lingling. We haven't seen him for so long. I have a lot to say to you. Please stop practicing today and have a nice chat with me. That even if it comes to this, Yilingling will naturally not refuse. The two girls walked hand in hand to the edge of the pool, found a large clean stone to sit down, and started talking softly, but most of the time it was Yen talking and Yilingling listening. The boy was resting against a tree while two young girls were chatting. The breeze blows gently, the leaves rustle, and the three of them form a wonderful picture. However, the peaceful and harmonious atmosphere did not last long. Several breaths approached quickly. Lin Chuan slowly opened his eyes and looked sideways at the road he came from. Several figures appeared in his sight one after another. The leading young man had an impatient look on his face. As soon as he appeared, he looked around as if he was looking for something. When he saw Duguyan and Yi Lingling sitting by the pool, he became visibly happy. Yanzi, that the figure flashed in front of Duguyan. Yu Tianheng, it's you, long time no see. After seeing the person clearly, Duguyan looked slightly shocked, but still said hello. However, Yu Tianheng didn't seem to notice the change in Duguyan's mood. His face was still full of peach blossoms, and he said cheerfully, long time no see, Yanzi, we all miss you very much. Yanzi, when you come back this time, do you plan to go back to the academy? After saying this, Yu Tianheng's eyes showed a touch of eagerness and expectation, but Duguyan shook his head without hesitation. No, I just happened to pass by Tiandou city and missed Ling Ling, so I just came to play with her. I will leave in a few days. As soon as these words came out, the smile on Yu Tianheng's face froze instantly. Yanzi, actually I have always wanted to ask, why did you suddenly change schools? Isn't it good to study at Tiandou Royal Academy? Several people who came with Yu Tianheng also quickly agreed. Yes, Sister Yan, what's so good about Renxue College? Our college is not only rich in resources and equipped with all kinds of mimicry facilities, but it can also advance to the finals in the upcoming Soul Master competition. Plus, with the captain here, we will definitely win the prize. The next champion. Sister Yan, please come back. You don't know that since you left, the captain has been in a haze these days. He doesn't think about food and drink, and he has become thinner. We really miss the time we spent with Sister Yan. All the team members are playing the emotional card. After getting along for a long time, they did form a deep friendship with each other. Duguyan was also quite touched in her heart, but her reason still prevented her from agreeing. The girl shook her head gently. I'm sorry, I will not transfer back to another school. Although I had a lot of fun attending classes and practicing together with everyone, I already have other pursuits now. Besides, I'm sorry, Captain, I know how you feel about me, but I already have someone I like, so please don't waste your time on me. Duguyan's eyes were apologetic, but his words were particularly sharp. Everyone was speechless immediately. Seeing Yu Tianheng's face turn pale instantly, they struggled to squeeze out a smile. Yanzi, are you kidding? I won't deceive you about this kind of thing. I'm really sorry. I understand your intention, but I can't accept it. There is no way to force feelings. Duguyan's words were like a steel knife, piercing into Yu Tianheng's heart again. A feeling of suffocation came over me. Captain, are you okay? One of the sturdy young men looked worried. Yu Tianheng ignored him and still looked at Duguyan, his voice hoarse. Can you tell me who he is? Don't get me wrong, I just want to see what kind of person you like, Yanzi. Before Duguyan had time to respond, Yi Lingling subconsciously glanced in the direction of Lin Chuan. This subtle movement was instantly noticed by others. Following the direction Yi Lingling looked in, Lin Chuan, who was sitting on a tree trunk, suddenly came into view. Who is he? You're not wearing a school uniform, so you shouldn't be from our college. Could it be the person brought by Sister Yan? Doesn't that mean? Everyone realized something instantly. Yu Tianheng naturally thought of this, and his eyes suddenly became extremely complicated, and the emotions contained in his eyes were quite complicated, 2 parts puzzled, 3 parts dissatisfied, 3 parts dissatisfied, and 2 parts jealous. Lin Chuan didn't see so much, but he could really feel the emotional changes in Yu Tianheng's body, like a mountain roaring and a tsunami. Yanzi, is he the person you are talking about? Yu Tianheng pointed at Lin Chuan, wanting to confirm for the last time. This time Duguyan did not deny it, but nodded without hesitation. Yes, it's him. Now that you've seen him, you shouldn't have any other doubts, right? Before Yu Tianheng could respond, Shiremo on the side took the lead. Sister Yan, what's so good about this boy? Except for being more handsome than the captain, I can't compare him to anything else. The captain is a direct descendant of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. Isn't he even better than a pretty boy who appeared out of nowhere? Shiremo pointed at Lin Chuan, his face full of dissatisfaction. Unexpectedly, Duguyan's face darkened visibly. Shut up, Shiremo. For the sake of us being teammates, I don't have to argue with you this time. But if you dare to say such things again, I will be rude to you. Sister Yan, you. Okay, brother, just stop saying a few words. Seeing what Shiremo wanted to say, his younger brother Shiremo quickly stopped him. After all, based on his understanding of Dugu Yan, this aunt can tell and do what she wants to do. If she really wants to annoy her, the scene will be quite ugly. Yu Tianheng didn't ask any further questions. He looked across the crowd and landed on Lin Chuan. Hello, my name is Yu Tianheng. Can I meet you? Of course. Lin Chuan jumped down from the tree, stepped in front of Yu Tianheng, and looked at the man in front of him calmly. My name is Lin Chuan, and I am Yanzi's good friend. Neither party was particularly enthusiastic. In other words, given the current situation, I probably won't be enthusiastic. You must be a soul master too, right? Yu Tianheng's voice was low, but his eyes contained fighting intent. I want to discuss with you. I want to see what's so special about the person Yanzi likes. Yu Tianheng. Dugu Yan suddenly frowned, looking unkind. Now the violent reaction suddenly made Yu Tianheng even more uncomfortable. Calm down, Yanzi. Lin Chuan reached out and patted Dugu Yan's arm, comforting him softly. It's just a discussion. Since brother Yu is interested, I will naturally not refuse. Thank you. Then let's go to the Academy soul fighting stage. Lin Chuan shook his head gently. No need, this is just fine. Okay, you all stand back. Yu Tianheng did not force it, and signaled to others to leave enough fighting space. Dugu Yan also pulled Yi Lingling back, without the slightest worry in his eyes. No one understands Lin Chuan's strength better than her. Even though Yu Tianheng is considered a genius and comes from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, he is still far behind. Yu Tianheng, level 43 attack type fighting spirit sect, please give me some advice. Lin Chuan, please give me some advice. Seeing that Lin Chuan didn't even want to talk about his soul power, other members of the Tiandou team not far away suddenly looked unhappy. Who are you? You don't even understand the rules. Are you looking down on others? Captain, you're welcome, teach this guy a lesson. Everyone began to cheer for Yu Tianheng. Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex, possessed. Suddenly there was a loud thunder, and Yu Tianheng's two arms were seen to expand rapidly. His sleeves could not withstand the fierce thunder and burst open. The arms increased by about half a foot and were covered with purple scales. At the same time, the palms of his hands turned into dragon claws. I'm offended, thunder's fury. Yu Tianheng roared angrily, and his third soul ring flashed. Thick thunder covered his whole body, causing him to enter a berserk state instantly. While the power of thunder and lightning was enhanced, his soul power was also greatly improved. The next moment, Yu Tianheng turned into a white shadow and rushed towards him. Thunder Dragon Claw. The right claw gathered the power of thunder and suddenly struck Lin Chuan. It can be said that Yu Tianheng had already tried his best from the beginning. Lin Chuan's palm flashed with light, and the silver moon spear emerged. The lightning on the gun exploded. Thunder shock. The piercing thunder resounded through the mountains and forests, and onlookers could not help but cover their ears. The dazzling white light shone, and the gun's shadow whizzed past, with overwhelming power, instantly piercing Yu Tianheng's shoulder. The thunder raged, and Yu Tianheng flew directly backwards, hitting a large number of trees. Accepted. Ignoring the strange looks around him, Lin Chuan stood with a gun in hand, his clothes swinging in the wind. If he hadn't been merciful, this shot would have directly killed Yu Tianheng. Puff. Yu Tianheng spurted a drop of blood from his mouth and raised his head with force, his face pale and his heart full of shock, but it soon turned into a slumped smile. You won. I'm not as good as you. Yanzi's vision is indeed very good. Fortunately, we are not together, otherwise I would have delayed her for the rest of her life. Yanzi is a good girl. I hope you treat her well. I wish you happiness. After saying this, Yu Tianheng's spirit instantly relaxed. He could no longer hold on and fainted. Lin Chuan. Why does this scene feel so familiar? Chapter 93 Shui Qinghe Qian Renxue. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After being treated by Yi Langliang, Yu Tianheng was carried away by the Shi brothers. Before leaving, the other members of the Tiandou Academy team had evil eyes, which made Lin Chuan look like some big villain who wanted to steal love. Fortunately, Yu Tianheng fainted in time, otherwise Lin Chuan would have been really afraid that he would say something irrational. Passing by your Douluo Continent, the sense of déjà vu is too strong. Lin Chuan withdrew his gaze, and the silver moon gun in his hand turned into flowing light and integrated into his body. He didn't take what happened just now too seriously. Although Yu Tianheng seemed to be seriously injured, his hand had been spared. In addition, after Jiuxin Haitong's treatment, there would be no sequelae. Yanzi, please continue chatting. After saying that, Lin Chuan jumped back into the tree and sat down again. Yi Lingling's eyes flickered, and she was deeply curious about Lin Chuan. Yu Tianheng is already almost the top genius of Tiandou Royal Academy, and with the top beast spirit like Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus, he is a rare opponent among his peers. But now, he was defeated with one move. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. Yi Lingling couldn't believe what he saw. The girl now understands why Du Guyan suddenly chose to transfer to another school. As if he noticed something strange about Yi Lingling, Du Guyan was stunned for a moment, then suddenly thought of something, squinted his eyes and revealed a weird smile. Lingling, let's continue chatting. Look at my hair, it's changed a lot from before, right? Tell you secretly that this has something to do with my martial spirit. My martial spirit was defective before. Du Guyan spoke without any precaution. At first, Yi Lingling was just a little curious, but as the topic deepened, the girl gradually became serious. The loneliness in her body disappeared for a short time, and her heart was full of surprises, but the surprise soon faded, and the girl became uneasy. Halfway up the mountain, the main campus of Tiandou Royal Academy, the scene of Yu Tianheng being carried back by the Shi brothers was finally seen by others. As a member of the first team of Tiandou Royal Academy, he is quite famous in the academy, and his every move will naturally attract more people's attention. Before Yu Tianheng hurried down the mountain, which was enough to make people curious. However, not long after that, he was carried back in such a mess, and the other students suddenly became more and more curious. A few people dared to inquire, but were driven back directly by the Shi brothers. For a time, various rumors also spread in private. Shabby has been silently paying attention to the situation here. In fact, he deliberately revealed the news of Du Guyan's sudden return to the Shi brothers during their chat, and then conveyed it to Yu Tianheng through them. Since he wanted to test, he naturally couldn't do it himself, and at the same time, he had to keep himself away. Most of the students in Tiandou Royal Academy knew about Yu Tianheng's pursuit of Du Guyan, so letting him go was undoubtedly the most reasonable choice. I just didn't expect that Yu Tianheng would be so embarrassed. We should have had a fight, but I don't know who did it. It seems that we need to find an opportunity to find out the specific situation. Shabby was thinking in his mind, but he was already sure of most of his guesses. If it is what he thinks, he is definitely a rare genius who can defeat Yu Tianheng. Maybe he can find a way to win him over as his help, but he still has to discuss with his uncle how to do it. Perhaps because of a sudden thought, Shabby clenched his fists, and a flash of anger and sadness flashed in his eyes. My good brother, is this all your handiwork? At the same time, in a special building in Tiandou Royal Academy, this is also a mimetic training environment. The rooms are made of top-quality forging materials. While isolating sound and breath, they also have amazing defense capabilities to ensure that you will not be disturbed by the outside world during your practice. Whatever happens inside, the outside world will also be affected. No way of knowing. Not only that, the ceiling is made of a crystal that absorbs sunlight, which can absorb sunlight and enhance the energy contained in the light. For some special martial souls, this is definitely an excellent training place. In the room, a blonde girl with stunning appearance was sitting cross-legged. Even though she was sitting, she still couldn't hide her plump figure. Wisps of light fell from the crystal above her head, gradually integrating into the girl's body with each breath. Little Lord, that a shout suddenly sounded in the room. A golden wave appeared on the blonde girl's body, her eyelashes trembled, and she slowly opened her eyes. Uncle Shi, what happened? As the woman finished speaking, a tall man suddenly appeared in the room. He was not tall, but a little thin, but he was 2 meters tall. He was as straight and sharp as a javelin. The man bowed to the blonde girl, and then said, Young master, there is news from Tiandou Academy. Yu Tianheng of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect is suspected to have been defeated. Oh. Hearing this, the blonde girl couldn't help but become interested. Have you figured out the specific situation? Not yet. Young master, you also need people here. I don't dare to go too far, but the granddaughter of the old poisoner suddenly came back. It should be related to her. Duguyen. Whether as the young master of Wuhuan Palace or the crown prince of the Tiandou Empire, Renxue is naturally very aware of the relationship between Poison Douluo and the Tiandou Empire. The two have met before. As for Duguyan's sudden transfer of schools, Renxue, there is still some concern, especially after the magical elixir and soul guide appeared on the market. She had sent people to Tianshui College to investigate, but did not gain much. Yu Tianheng should not attack Duguyan, not to mention that Duguyan was not Yu Tianheng's opponent, so it must be someone else who attacked. Uncle Shi, send someone to find out the details in detail. Yes, young master, then you. Don't worry, Uncle Tsishue is here. I will ask about the situation later. Uncle Shi, please do it as soon as possible. After a cold reply, a golden light flashed on Renxue's body. When the light faded, the woman with a stunning face had disappeared, replaced by a young man who looked about 27 years old with long black hair. This look is the current prince of the Tiandou Empire, Qinghe. As you command. The middle-aged man, Snake Spear Douluo, clasped his fists respectfully, and his figure flashed and disappeared in the room in an instant. The golden light shone on Qinghe's face, making his not particularly handsome face add an indescribable temperament out of thin air. Uncle Tsishue, let's go, Qinghe suddenly shouted to the empty room. Yes, young master. A slightly hoarse voice suddenly sounded, and no one was seen. On the other side, Lin Chuan leaned against the tree, occasionally turning his head to glance at the pond not far away. His face was quite helpless. Now he knew how much women could talk. After not seeing each other for such a long time, they seemed to have endless things to say. I really don't understand where they got so many topics. Huh. While waiting, Lin Chuan's eyes flashed red and he noticed the breath that suddenly appeared in the distance. This feeling. Titled Douluo. Lin Chuan didn't know whether there was a titled Douluo in the Tiandou royal family. Although it didn't appear in the original book, this was reality. It was a bit abnormal for one of the two great empires to say that there was no titled Douluo, so is it a titled Douluo from the Tiandou imperial family, or? Lin Chuan's eyes flickered slightly, and he kept an eye on the breath's every move. The other party was approaching quickly, and suddenly stopped when he was close, with no intention of getting closer. Even if there were titled Douluos from the Tiandou imperial family, it would be unlikely for them to appear here. They were more likely to protect the safety of the Tiandou imperial city. Although the Tiandou Imperial Academy was important, it was too close to Tiandou City, and few people would want to come here. Even if there were, the 3 sole Douluo-level teaching committee members alone would be enough to deal with emergencies. There is no malicious intent, excluding Yu Engine, so there is only one possibility left. So is it a titled Douluo from the Spirit Hall? Lin Chuan had a guess in his mind instantly. There were quite a few titled Douluos in the Spirit Hall, and the only ones who would appear in the Tiandou Imperial Academy at this time were the 2 who followed Renxue, Snake Spear Douluo Shilong, and Thorny Porpoise Douluo Tsishue. I just don't know which of the 2 people this person is. Was he attracted by Yu Tianheng? Lin Chuan's eyes flickered slightly, and he probably guessed the cause and effect of the matter. It seems that Renxue happened to be in the Tiandou Royal Academy at this time. Perhaps she sent someone to check the situation after learning that Yu Tianheng was defeated. Tisk. Lin Chuan exhaled, but he didn't care much. However, with the background of the Tiandou Empire, it would be easy to figure out what happened today. I'm afraid that I will also enter the other party's sight by then. It seems that it should not be concealed for too long. Ning Fengji can guess part of the truth, and the others are not fools. Because Lin Chuan had been staying in the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire, he was almost cut off from the outside world, so he was not known by all forces. But now that he is back, he is destined to not hide for long. You have to be a little more careful. Either improve your soul power as soon as possible, or merge the mystery of the water of all things and the mystery of the fire of all things as soon as possible, so that you have enough confidence to face the title Douluo. After all, the Spirit Hall is aiming to unify the entire continent. Anyone who can threaten their plan will be targeted or even surrounded and killed. The days of leisure and peace will soon be over. The elite competition of advanced soul masters colleges across the continent is the beginning of this storm, and if you want to avoid being swallowed by the storm, you can only work hard to improve your strength. After staring for a while, the breath turned away. Lin Chuan immediately retracted his gaze. Time passed quietly, and the sky gradually darkened. Although Dugu Yan and Yi Lingling had finished chatting, they were still reluctant to leave. Lingling, then we will leave first. On the way down the mountain, Dugu Yan waved to Yi Lingling. Yi Lingling nodded gently, her lips moved slightly, and a slightly cold voice came out, I will go home tomorrow to discuss it with my mother. Hearing this, Dugu Yan's face suddenly showed a smile. No problem, I will ask my grandfather for you. Yanzi, thank you. After saying goodbye again, Lin Chuan and Dugu Yan walked down the mountain together. Along the way, the girl's steps were slightly brisk. Lin Chuan was suddenly curious. Yanzi, what did you say to Yi Lingling? Well, let's talk about it after we return to Tiandou city, but I really need your help, Xiao Chuan. Dugu Yan tilted her head slightly and showed a beautiful smile. Okay. Lin Chuan nodded and did not continue to ask. Chapter 94 The Strength and Flaws of the Nine-Hearted Begonia. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Night falls. Lin Chuan and Dugu Yan have returned to Tiandou city. After having dinner at a restaurant on the street, we return to our residence. Yan, why did you call Grandpa here? In Dugu Yan's room, several people were sitting around a table, and Dugu Bo looked inquiring. Lin Chuan also took a look at the right time. Yes, Grandpa, there is indeed something going on. Dugu Yan nodded lightly. Xiao Chuan and I went to Tiandou Royal Academy to meet Ling Ling today, and we had a little chat about my affairs with her. Hearing this, Dugu Bo and Lin Chuan raised their eyebrows at the same time. What have you been talking to her about? Dugu Yan didn't hide anything and answered truthfully. After learning that Dugu Yan told Yi Lingling about his martial soul, Lin Chuan didn't have much reaction, but Dugu Bo looked slightly sulky. Yan, you are too willful. How can you tell others about this matter at will? Grandpa, don't be angry. I know the seriousness. I didn't tell everything to Lingling. I just said that Grandpa you might be able to make up for Jiuxin Haitang's shortcomings, and I didn't leak any information about Xiao Chuan. Dugu Yan quickly explained. Dugu Bo. Filial piety, since you don't want Lin Chuan to be exposed, why don't you push him, the grandfather, to block the attack? The little cotton-padded jacket is leaking. Dugu Bo glared at his granddaughter quite speechlessly, and asked in a low voice, so Yan, what exactly do you want to do? That's right. Grandpa, don't you have a good relationship with Lingling's mother? In addition, Lingling is also a good friend of mine, so I would like to ask Xiao Chuan if there is any way to solve Jiuxin Haitang's shortcomings. Dugu Yan finally expressed his thoughts. Is that what it is? Hearing this, Dugu Bo's face suddenly relaxed. He does have a good relationship with the family behind Yi Lingling, or to be precise, he has a good relationship with Yi Lingling's grandfather, probably because the martial souls have flaws. Both of them are looking for a solution. Dugu Bo also turned to the Yi family for help before. Unfortunately, although Jiuxin Haitang is a powerful healing martial soul, it cannot deal with the poison of the martial soul. There is no good solution, but it has to be said that he does owe the Yi family a favor. Thinking of this, Dugu Bo turned to look at Lin Chuan. Little monster, I also want to ask, can you solve the flaws of Jiuxin Begonia? Well, I don't know either. After Lin Chuan thought briefly, he shook his head slightly. Jiuxin Haitang is an auxiliary martial spirit. Unlike the Qibao glazed pagoda, which can perform comprehensive amplification, Jiuxin Haitang can only heal. Even so, this martial spirit is still very powerful. Even Ning Fengji, the leader of the Qibao glazed sect, rated Jiuxin Haitang's martial spirit as a miracle, which is enough to show how terrifying this martial spirit's ability to assist is. Of course, the flaws of Jiuxin Begonia are also very obvious. First of all, it cannot detoxify, and secondly, it cannot regenerate a severed finger, but it can perform limb transplantation. To put it simply, if a limb is cut off by a sharp weapon, Jiuxin Haitang can reattach it as long as the limb is not damaged. However, the most serious flaw is that the martial spirit can only have one successor in each generation. There can only be 2 nine-hearted Begonia spirit masters alive at the same time. When a new nine-hearted Begonia spirit appears, the older one will die. This can be regarded as a limitation of Jiuxin Haitang's martial spirit, or it can be said to be a curse. Even Xiao Chuan, you can't do it. Dugu Yan's expression changed. Obviously he did not expect this. Lin Chuan suddenly smiled helplessly. Yanzi, you look up to me. You and Senior Dugu are poisoned, and it is not difficult to solve it. But Jiuxin Haitang has a problem with the martial spirit itself, and there is nothing I can do about it. There are only 2 Jiuxin Haitang soul masters, which is not normal no matter how you look at them. This actually reminded Lin Chuan of the Eastern Spirit clan in a certain world. Also possessing bloodline power, the mother can pass on all her power to her offspring. Even if she loses all her power, she will not die. There are also descendants of Niuhua in the fairy sword world who are immortal under normal circumstances, but as soon as they give birth to children, they lose this ability and eventually die of old age. The conditions of the 3 are similar. No matter how you look at it, they are all problems in their blood. Lin Chuan can use elixirs to evolve some special martial souls, but changing their essence is temporarily impossible. Boy Lin, what about letting Jiuxin Haitang evolve? Dugubo recalled his own situation and came up with another solution. I'm not sure. After all, Yi Lingling is different from you and Yanzi, seniors. The Earth Dragon Golden Melon contains dragon blood, which can completely catalyze the evolution of snakes, but Jiuxin Haitang does not have this condition. I may have to do some research before I can give an answer. Lin Chuan didn't say anything. After all, Wuhuan involves blood and is more complicated than imagined. Of course, this is a superficial statement, but in private, there is probably no problem in using various medicinal materials to refine elixirs to evolve Jiuxin Begonia. It is just a matter of retaining Jiuxin Begonia's martial spirit to solve this martial spirit. It's just that Lin Chuan can't do it. Dugu Bo also had a taste for what he said. Boy Lin, I'm not forcing you to do anything. It's just that the old man from the Yi family has a relationship with me, and he is also a person who values affection and righteousness. If you can really solve the problem of Jiuxin Haitang, you can use it as a bargaining chip to win over the Yi family. Although Jiuxin Haitang has no offensive power, it is still quite powerful in terms of treatment. Dugu Yan on the side also interjected. Yes, Xiao Chuan, Lingling's martial spirit is quite powerful. With her here, even if you want to die, you won't be able to die. If you can, help her. There is nothing wrong with what he said. Jiuxin Begonia has many flaws, but its flaws are not concealed. Its powerful therapeutic effect is enough to cover up its shortcomings of being unable to detoxify and having no other auxiliary abilities. In addition, Lingling said that she is also willing to transfer to Renxue College. As soon as these words came out, Lin Chuan's expression suddenly became very strange. Good guy, you're just trying to steal money from an academy, right? The Tiandou Royal Academy team was miserable enough. The instructor ran away with Shrek Academy and the Control Soul Master ran to Renxue Academy. But now the Auxiliary Soul Master also wants to escape. Lin Chuan suddenly felt pity in his heart. Tiandou Royal Academy is so miserable. If it weren't for the support of the Tiandou Empire, one of the 2 teams would be able to pass the finals. Otherwise, if the 2 main players left, it would be difficult for them to even pass the qualifiers. I have to admit that what Dugu Bo and Dugu Yan said makes sense. The healing ability of Jiuxin Haitang is indeed very powerful. Even if Lin Chuan possesses many healing elixirs, the recovery speed cannot be compared with it for the time being. If there is a Jiuxin Haitang soul master by his side, he will undoubtedly be the best. A great guarantee. After thinking quickly, Lin Chuan smiled and nodded. Okay, for the sake of Senior Dugu and Yanzi, I can give it a try, but if you agree in advance, it may not necessarily solve the problem. It's best to let Yi Lingling be mentally prepared. Sometimes, even if you can do something, you can't show it too easily, otherwise others will think it's not a big deal and won't take it seriously. For things like favor, whether it is needed or not is another matter. whether it is necessary or not is necessary. Great, I'll ask Lingling to come over in 2 days. Dugu Yan had a look of joy on his face, feeling happy for his good friend. Of course, besides that, he also had his own little thoughts. It's just that I can't tell others about this kind of thing yet. Lin Chuan did not refuse, but agreed by default. Okay, it's getting late, let's go to bed early today. After discussing the business matters, Dugu Bo and Lin Chuan stood up one after another. After saying good night to Dugu Yan, they walked out of the girls' room together. Boy Lin, I'm going back to rest too. Lin Chuan smiled and nodded, and was about to speak when he suddenly noticed something. His expression suddenly sank, and he turned to look to the left. Dugu Bo on the side also made the same move. How brave, a mouse dares to touch me here. Dugu Bo snorted coldly and planned to rush out. Senior, calm down, you may be trying to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Lin Chuan quickly grabbed Dugu Bo with his eyes and hands to prevent the latter from rushing out. Hearing this, Dugu Bo also calmed down instantly. My granddaughter is also here. I don't know what the purpose of the guy behind the scenes is, but it's better to be cautious. Snort, Dugu Bo snorted coldly, and the terrifying pressure suddenly spread. As if realizing that he had been discovered, the uninvited guests outside did not stay any longer and disappeared without hesitation. Seeing this, Dugu Bo put away his soul power fluctuations, but his expression was very solemn. There is actually a titled Douluo in Tiandou city, and he is here for me. Could it be that he is from the spirit hall? Lin Chuan also didn't expect that Dugu Bo would guess the truth directly. This aura was exactly that of the guy he sensed in Tiandou Royal Academy during the day, but he didn't expect that the other person would come here in the dark. Aren't you afraid of being exposed? Boy Lin, you and Yan Yan don't leave Tiandou city these days. After we meet the Yi family, we will go back to Renxue College. The appearance of a strange titled Douluo in Tiandou city is obviously not normal. Since you can't figure out the other person's intentions, it's better to stay away. Okay. Lin Chuan nodded, naturally not refusing. At this stage, he does not plan to have too much contact with Qian Renxue. He does not want to reveal Qian Renshue's identity, nor will he take the initiative to help Wuhuan Palace. As long as he does not take the initiative to provoke him, that would be the best. However, many times it is just wishful thinking, and it is not that easy to live alone. Prince's mansion. After learning the handling of national affairs from Emperor Shui, Qinghe returned to his room, entered the secret room, and restored his original appearance, having to pretend to be someone else every day, and only getting a moment of peace at night. This kind of life is very uncomfortable, but for the sake of Wuhuan Palace's plan, Qian Renxue is willing to do it. Uncle Thornblood, is Uncle Shi back? After a short rest, Qian Renxue suddenly spoke. Not yet, but it should be soon. The bloody figure appeared behind Qian Renxue and responded with a buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, another figure entered the secret room. Little Lord. Qian Renxue suddenly became energetic. Uncle Shi, how is the situation? I followed your instructions, young master, and have already sent someone to Renxue Academy. I also went to Old Poison's mansion in Tiandou city just now, but I was noticed before I even entered. What? Upon hearing this, Qian Renshue's expression changed instantly. Uncle Shi, has your identity been exposed? Snake Spear Douluo shook his head. Not yet. The old poison creature is very cautious and did not chase him out, but it is certain that besides Dugu Yan, there is another young man beside him. Chapter 95, Sudden Enlightenment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's good that it's not exposed. Qian Renxue breathed a sigh of relief. He has been lurking in the Tiandou Empire for 20 years. If the news leaks out at this time, all the efforts over the years will be in vain. Although it's a little scary, it's not all bad. So was Yu Tianheng defeated by that strange boy? So, could Duguian's sudden transfer of school also have something to do with that boy? For a moment, Qian Renxue fell into deep thought. Snake Spear Douluo, who was standing in front of her, opened his mouth slightly but hesitated to speak. Qian Renxue noticed it immediately and immediately opened his mouth to ask. Uncle Shi, don't worry. If you have anything else, just say it. Young master, although I have not fought against Douluo just now, he still posed a great threat to me. The old poisonous man's strength has improved greatly, and may even be, beyond me, that although he was very reluctant to admit it, Snake Spear Douluo still expressed his thoughts. Qian Renshue's pretty face showed a little surprise, and the Gorgon Douluo on the side was also very surprised. You must know that Douluo is recognized as the weakest title Douluo, and Snake Spear Douluo's soul power is only one level higher than his opponent. However, due to the mutated martial soul, he has both the tenacity and strength of the weapon martial soul and the beast martial spirit. His powerful physical body and his combat power cannot be underestimated. However, now I feel threatened by Douluo, which is obviously not normal. You must know that if a title Douluo wants to increase his soul power by one level, it will take at least years. Uncle Shi, are you sure? Qian Renshue's voice was cold, but her expression was serious. Snake Spear Douluo nodded solemnly. Although it is a bit hard to accept, the feeling that Douluo gives me is not much weaker than Elder Demon Bear and Elder Ghost Leopard. Have you made such great progress? Or have you gained some kind of opportunity? Qian Renxue tapped her slender jade fingers on the table with a thoughtful look on her face. It is said that the pills that appear on the market are inextricably related to Douluo. Could they also be related to Douluo's changes? In the room, the three of them were silent, except for the sound of tapping on the table. I understand, don't provoke Douluo for the time being, so as not to alert the enemy, but go and find out where that young man comes from, his identity, background, relationship with Douluo. I want to know all the information. That the corners of Qian Renshue's mouth raised slightly, and an inexplicable thought came to her mind. This mysterious boy will definitely surprise her, being able to defeat Yu Tianheng. His strength is definitely not weak. Such a character should be used by himself. Yes. Snake Spear Douluo clasped his fists and disappeared in a flash. Qian Renxue is still relieved that Snake Spear Douluo is doing things, but she can't just rely on him to do things alone, and she can't be idle either. Find an opportunity to get in touch with Douluo and see if you can get anything out of him. Qian Renxue murmured to herself in a low voice. It would undoubtedly be very convenient to contact the other party as Qinghe, and it would not make him wary, which was perfect. At this time, Lin Chuan didn't know Qian Renshue's plan. After closing the door tightly, Lin Chuan did not rest immediately, but took out the 50,000-year-old Silver Moon Wolf King corpse from the storage soul guide. As soon as the huge wolf corpse appeared, it instantly occupied a lot of space, and the room was filled with the smell of blood. There was no time to deal with it along the way, so I just took this opportunity to dissect it. After all, it was a 50,000-year soul beast, and most of its parts were still very useful. Activating the soul power, the shadow in Yang's double sword appeared alone. The thick blade penetrated the wolf corpse, and Lin Chuan expertly dissected it, bleeding, skinning, deboning. The knife was sharp and pieces of wolf meat were cut out. They were different sizes, but the appearance was very regular. 3 jars of wolf blood with a fishy smell could be filled. Clang, just when the blade reached the wolf's head, it seemed to hit some hard part. Lin Chuan's eyes lit up slightly. Could it be? After shaving off the excess parts 3 times, a shimmering skull appeared in the palm of his hand, containing waves of mental power fluctuations. As expected, it's a soul bone or a skull. You're really lucky. Looking at the soul bone in his hand, Lin Chuan had an unexpected smile on his face. This is also the 4th soul bone he has obtained. Apart from the soul bones obtained in the eyes of Binghuo Liangyi, there are only 2 pieces that actually fell from the soul beast. To be precise, his luck was considered lucky. Even Douluo, the title Douluo, only has 1 soul bone in his body. Even most of the title Douluo don't even have 1 soul bone. This is enough to show how precious this thing is. The one in front of you is still 50,000 yuan. If Nian's skull were leaked, Lin Chuan would probably attract countless soul masters to hunt him down. Keep it, it will be used to refine magic weapons. Lin Chuan did not intend to absorb this skull, but to wait until he returned to Tianxue College to combine it with other materials to refine a more powerful artifact. After all, absorbing soul bones means directly replacing the corresponding parts. I always feel a little uncomfortable, so the original product is better. But I still lack some auxiliary materials. It's rare to come to Tiandou City. I just want to go shopping in the market tomorrow to see if I can buy what I need. Lin Chuan already has preliminary ideas on what to do with this 50,000-year-old silver moon wolf king skull. Put the soul bone and other materials back into the soul guide, open your mouth and spit out a wisp of golden flames, clean up the remaining blood on the floor, and burn it together with the smell. Sitting cross-legged on the edge of the bed, he took out the luoxia bao and placed it on his lap, slowly closing his eyes. You will benefit a lot from experiencing the heaven and earth. Seriously, and your understanding of the mysteries of the water element will be greatly deepened. You have benefited a lot from experiencing the heaven and earth seriously, and your understanding of the mysteries of the fire element has been greatly deepened. When you enter a state of cultivation, time always flies by. Early the next morning, Lin Chuan came to the yard to practice his sword skills. Yi Ying's double swords were like a volcano erupting, extremely powerful, and the flames filled Lin Chuan's body, making him look as dazzling as the god of fire. His sword skills were swift and fierce, giving people an endless sense of oppression. Douluo was also awakened by the movement early and stood aside to observe. Although Lin Chuan had already told how to obtain this power, he still had no clue, so he decided to try and see if he could learn something from the other party. Lin Chuan didn't respond, completely immersed in his own world. No, still wrong. Lin Chuan waved the blade and suddenly shook his head. Although his sword skills are very fast and unstoppable, they still feel quite weird to him. Even though his sword skills are domineering and arrogant with fire, and the effects displayed are fierce and violent, there is always something strange about him. It seems that the first hit is very powerful, but then it seems to lack stamina. In addition, there are different sword techniques in Thunder Knife. If you encounter a strong opponent, there may not be any problem in a short period of time, but you may get used to it over time. When two parties are at war, being adapted means exposing weaknesses. It's useless to just be fierce. There must be more changes. Lin Chuan vaguely remembered the saying in his previous life that the sword is not for killing, but for hiding. In addition to the intention of hiding the edge, there are also tricks that cannot be easily understood by others. No matter what kind of technique, the best state is the combination of yin and yang, hardness and softness. Then, how about trying to use the mystery of fire of all things and the mystery of water of all things interchangeably? Lin Chuan took a deep breath and swung his two swords. The blades were filled with flames. After two swords, the flames suddenly dissipated. When the long sword was struck out, it brought up the rotating water. Under the continuous sword skills, the flames and water flow they appeared alternately without any pattern. Even Douluo, who was standing on the sidelines watching, was a little confused for a moment. As the sword light flashed, Lin Chuan's whole body was bathed in the sea of fire and water, and a strange sense of beauty suddenly appeared. It didn't feel like he was practicing, but more like dancing. But gradually, something is slowly changing. You have seriously practiced the sword technique, understood the true meaning, and benefited a lot. The realm of the sword technique has been greatly improved, and the proficiency of the thunder knife has been slightly improved. With the help of sword skills, you can understand the mystery of the water of all things, and your understanding of the mystery of the water of all things will deepen. You use sword skills to understand the mystery of the fire of all things, and your understanding of the mystery of the fire of all things deepens. You seriously understand the two mysteries of the water of all things and the fire of all things, and realize the similarities between the two. The fusion degree of the mysteries of the water of all things and the fire of all things is slightly improved. Suddenly, Lin Chuan felt a slight change in the mystery of the fire of all things. In the past, the flames were only ferocious, as if they wanted to devour and destroy all violence, but now there is a hint of restraint belonging to water, which makes it fierce and continuous at the same time. At the same time, the mystery of water in all things also changes, and it is feminine and soft at the same time. A little more fierceness. Yes, this is what I want. Lin Chuan smiled, quite satisfied with this change, and it can be seen from the entries in his mind that this is the right path. The two mysteries of water and fire have begun to merge. This is also the route he had originally planned. After continuing to practice some more, Lin Chuan gradually became familiar with the two mysterious changes. although the two mysteries are still at the first level, the power they can exert has been improved, which has also significantly increased his combat effectiveness. Boy Lin, no matter how many times I watch it, you are still very powerful in the field you master. Douluo couldn't help but complain softly, his tone full of envy. After looking at it for so long, I still have no clue. Sure enough, there are some methods that are simply beyond the control of ordinary people. Hearing this, Lin Chuan suddenly smiled, but did not respond. Forget it, I've given up. No matter how you think about it, it's impossible to master the field by yourself. Let's just improve our soul power. Douluo shook his head and let it go. Grandpa, Xiao Chuan, you are already up. At this moment, Yen had also gotten up and waved to the two of them. Yen, you're awake. Douluo nodded solemnly, and then changed the subject. Grandpa didn't tell you, look at how good Lin is, and he got up so early to practice. You have to work harder. I got it, Grandpa. Yen stuck out his tongue, but still nodded obediently. The three of them had breakfast. Xiao Chuan, do you have any plans today? Yen pursed her red lips tightly, waiting for Lin Chuan's answer. Lin Chuan didn't hide it. I plan to go to the Tiandou city market to see if I can buy some things I need. Is that so? Then I happen to know a good place that will definitely meet your requirements. Chapter 96 Tiandou Auction House, Encountering Snowy Qinghe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tiandou City, Lin Chuan and Yen were walking on the bustling street. As for Douluo not accompanying him, even though there were titled Douluo spying on him last night, this was in Tiandou City, and few people dared to take action directly in the city. What's more, with Lin Chuan here, even a titled Douluo wouldn't be able to succeed for a while. The noise of the fight between titled soul masters must have been loud enough for Douluo to notice and rush to the scene as soon as possible. Before they knew it, the two of them had reached the city center. Here we are. Under the leadership of Yen, they stopped in front of a dome building. The building in front of them was completely round, like half a sphere buckled directly on the ground, and there was also a huge hammer pattern hanging on it. It is different from the hammer of the Gingxin City Blacksmith Association. Judging from the appearance, it should be an auction hammer. Whether it's the floor space or the level of luxury, it's not much inferior to the Great Soul Fighting Arena. Seeing Lin Chuan looking around calmly, Yen immediately smiled and explained, this is the Tiandou auction house. There are many rare and exotic objects that cannot be seen in the market. Auctions are also held occasionally. There must be Xiao Chuan you need. Things. Then let's go in and take a look. Hearing this, Lin Chuan suddenly became interested. At the entrance of the auction house, 4 tall girls were standing in a row, with their hands folded on their lower abdomens and professional smiles on their faces. The 4 of them cannot be said to be stunning in the world, but their looks are pretty good. In addition, their well-proportioned figures are wrapped in decent long skirts and fully outline their graceful curves. It is obvious that they are all carefully selected reception staff. Just standing there gives people a very comfortable feeling. Lin Chuan and Yen approached side by side. One of the girls quickly stepped forward, bowed slightly and smiled brightly. 2 guests, do you need any help? We would like to participate in the nearest auction. The girl couldn't help but be stunned, but still smiled politely on the surface. Of course there is no problem, but please forgive me, 2 guests, I need to go through some procedures. Do you have the bidding qualification certification? Of course Lin Chuan knew what this meant. He stretched out his hand and wiped his fingertips, and a gold card appeared in his hand. That should be enough, right? The girl naturally recognized it at a glance. It was a gold soul coin card, and it required at least 10,000 gold soul coins to be stored in it to apply for it. Although it is not the gold card of the auction house, it is enough. The next moment, the smile on the girl's face became brighter. 2 guests, the nearest auction will start in half an hour. You can take a stroll in Tiandou City first, or rest in the auction hall. What do you think, Ogawa-san? Yen looked back at Lin Chuan with a smile on his face. Let's take a stroll here first. All right. Yen naturally had no objection to this. Please come with me. The reception girl bowed slightly, raised one hand towards the entrance, made a gesture of invitation, and then took small steps to guide the two of them into the auction house. Walking into the auction house, the surroundings suddenly became enlightened. There is no splendor, and there are not many colors. It is mainly milky white. The overall look is simple and elegant. It does not make people feel depressed, but is quite comfortable. The auction house not only conducts auctions, but also provides sales services. However, compared to the auction items, the items displayed in the hall are not so precious. To guests, this is a catalogue of all the products in the hall. All the products are recorded on it for the convenience of guests to browse. If you have any products you like, you can tell me at any time. The girl responsible for the reception was very professional and the whole process was very comfortable. Thanks. Lin Chuan smiled and nodded, reaching out to take the catalogue. We can just go shopping on our own from now on. You can go do your own work. There is no need to continue to follow us. Okay, if the guests need anything, they can call the staff in the lobby. The reception girl smiled sweetly, bowed again, and left with small steps. Let's see what's there. Lin Chuan walked to a sofa in the rest area and sat down, opened the book and started looking at it. Yan also sat next to him very naturally, leaning forward, and the girl's faint fragrance instantly hit his face. The booklet is not too thick, but the products recorded on it are so diverse that it is a bit dazzling. Yan, who was a little excited at first, immediately calmed down. It's still not much different from before, nothing new at all. Lin Chuan flipped through the booklet with a smile on his face. Yanzi, you used to come here often. Of course, when I was still in Tiandou Royal Academy, I would occasionally take a few days off, and Ling and I would come to Tiandou City to visit, and we often came to this auction house. Therefore, the life of a rich woman is so simple and unpretentious, which is indeed quite enviable. However, Yan didn't like it, but Lin Chuan still found a lot of products he needed, including herbs and ores, which were not too precious. Lin Chuan did not call the staff in a hurry, but silently wrote down these things, and then bought some to take away when he left the auction house. As for the more rare ones, perhaps we can only look forward to the upcoming auction. While waiting silently, there was a sudden commotion at the entrance. Lin Chuan and Yan also looked towards the door subconsciously. I saw a clean-looking black-haired man wearing a clean green cloth robe slowly walking into the auction house, followed by two guards. Your Highness. Some people in the hall who were dressed in luxurious clothes and dressed like nobles recognized the identity of the person at the first time. They were shocked and ran forward to greet him respectfully. For a while, many people followed suit, except ordinary soul masters who stopped to watch from afar. No need to be polite, I am here to attend the auction today, and it is not a formal occasion, so please be casual. Qinghe showed a gentle smile, raised his hand and explained his purpose at the same time. It is obvious that he did not want to be disturbed when he said this. Yes, Your Highness. Naturally, many nobles were not fools. After responding quickly, they turned around and left honestly, but their eyes still fell here intentionally or unintentionally. Qinghe seemed to be unaware of this and walked into the hall with the guards. The target was very clear, pointing directly to the rest area of the hall. Hey, Miss Douluo, I didn't expect to meet you here by chance. It's been a long time since we last met. Qinghe showed a look of surprise, and his voice was hearty but magnetic. Yan bowed slightly. Greetings, His Royal Highness. Oh, you are too polite. I just said that I am only here to attend the auction today. There is no need to be too formal. Qinghe waved his hand, pretending to be unhappy. Seeing this, Yan could only nod. That's right. Qinghe narrowed his eyes slightly, chuckled, and then suddenly sighed. It's a pity that Miss Douluo is a rare genius, but she suddenly quit Tiandou Royal Academy. This makes me very regretful. Yan was embarrassed and didn't know how to explain. But it doesn't matter. Everyone has their own ambitions. Although Miss Douluo is not in Tiandou Royal Academy, the Renxue Academy she has transferred to is also a part of the Tiandou Empire. There is no difference. Qinghe did not continue to embarrass her, but smiled generously, showing the royal style. Others didn't know what she was thinking, but at least she was very good at it. Hearing this, Yan was relieved. Thank you for your understanding, Your Highness. Xue Qinghe smiled silently, and his eyes immediately fell on Lin Chuan beside Douluo Yan, not hiding the curiosity in his eyes at all. Lin Chuan's heart suddenly moved. It's coming, sure enough, the next moment. This brother is a little unfamiliar, Miss Douluo, can you introduce me? Xue Qinghe smiled and said, with a strong interest in his eyes. As soon as this was said, Lin Chuan's heart suddenly understood. Sure enough, it was no accident that the prince appeared here. It must not be what he said about coming to the auction. I'm afraid he came for me. I'll do it myself. Before Douluo Yan could speak, Lin Chuan took the lead and bowed. Meet His Royal Highness. Lin Chuan is polite. It turns out to be Brother Lin Chuan. You are really a talented person. Xue Qinghe smiled and praised, and then asked, Brother Lin Chuan seems to be a soul master. I wonder which soul master school you are studying in. Are you interested in entering Tiandou Royal College? That it was an expected test. Lin Chuan smiled in his heart, but his face was very calm. Thank you for your kindness, but I have entered Renxue College and can no longer transfer to Tiandou Royal College. Please forgive me. Oh. Xue Qinghe looked surprised, but as far as I know, Renxue College should only recruit female soul masters. Faced with Xue Qinghe's questioning, Lin Chuan had already thought of a way to deal with it. To be honest with you, Your Highness, I once encountered danger in the frozen forest and was saved by Dean Shui of Renxue College. I wanted to join Renxue College and find a chance to repay this kindness. When he said this, Lin Chuan suddenly showed regret. It's a pity that Renxue College only recruits female soul masters. Perhaps Dean Shui saw my sincerity and let me become a non-staff member of the college. It's just acting, who wouldn't say it differently? So that's how it is. Brother Lin Chuan is really grateful. It's a pity that I missed such a talent as Brother Lin Chuan. It's really a pity for me. Xue Qinghe sighed helplessly and felt sorry from the bottom of his heart. Although he didn't know whether what the other party said was true or false, he had said it to this point. It's impossible to force him to repay the life-saving grace, right? If he really did that, it would not be in line with the character that Xue Qinghe had created before. It doesn't matter, there is still a long way to go. Renxue College and the Shui family behind it do not belong to the Tiandou Empire at present. If the Shui family can be won over, Lin Chuan will naturally not be able to escape. Now that he has established a good relationship with Xue Qinghe as Xue Qinghe, it will be easier to win him over in the future. However, it is probably certain that Douluo Yan's sudden transfer to Renxue College is also likely related to the young man in front of him. Chapter 97. Too enthusiastic. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Xue Qinghe's eyes swept over Douluo Yan. According to the information she had obtained, Tianhe of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex sect had always been interested in Douluo Yan, but the latter suddenly transferred to another school and seemed to have a close relationship with Lin Chuan. It was Douluo Bo who came to take Douluo Yan away. The old poisonous creature did not fancy the successor of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex, but let his granddaughter choose another ordinary soul master. This is already very telling. In addition, Tianhe did not seem to be Lin Chuan's opponent. It seems that this young man in front of him, whose origin is unknown, is not only gifted, but also powerful. Poison Douluo acted decisively and took the initiative to match his only offspring, which further proves that this Lin Chuan is definitely not simple. It's a pity that there is too little information to know the specialness of Lin Chuan. After a brief chat, Xue Qinghe sat aside, as if he really just came to say hello and get to know him. Throughout the whole process, although the prince was noble, he did not have a condescending attitude in his dealings with others and his words, approachable and respectful. This is also the unanimous evaluation of Xue Qinghe by the people of Tiandou. It can only be said that Renxue played a very good role, showing an excellent heir to the empire perfectly. If Lin Chuan had not guessed the other party's purpose, he might have a good impression of him. Seeing Xue Qinghe sitting not far away, Douluo Yan came forward and said, Xiao Chuan, it seems that the prince seems to value you very much. Lin Chuan smiled and shook his head. This is not a good thing. Facing the girl's inquiring eyes, Lin Chuan chuckled and did not explain too much. Dear guests, the auction will start soon. After waiting quietly for a while, a staff member came forward to inform. Brother Lin Chuan, why don't you join us? Qinghe walked up slowly to invite, it seems that he is really interested in me. Okay. Lin Chuan also knew that since he had caught Qinghe's eye, it would be useless to hide blindly. It would be easy for the other party to investigate him, in this case, it would be better to be generous. Then let's go. Qinghe smiled and took the lead to walk out, and Lin Chuan followed behind him with Douluo. All the people who came to participate in the auction entered a wide venue one after another. Rows of seats were placed in the center in an orderly manner, and a high platform was built directly opposite all the seats. Xiaochuan, Tiandou auction house has more than one auction venue. Except for the large-scale auction held every 3 months, it will be held in the main auction venue. The rest of the time, it is a decentralized auction. Douluo leaned close to Lin Chuan's ear and whispered what he knew. Lin Chuan nodded silently, and his evaluation of Tiandou auction house in his heart improved a lot. Is this your first time, Brother Lin? Qinghe, who was standing aside, suddenly interrupted. Yes, I was born a commoner, and I never had the chance to enter such a place before. Don't say that. At least in my opinion, with Brother Lin's talent, he may become a noble of the empire if he wants. Then let's borrow your good words. After a brief conversation, the three of them sat down quickly. Thanks to Qinghe, Lin Chuan and Douluo also came to the front row and sat down. There is a special bidding button next to each seat, with 4 different colored buttons of 100, 1000, 10,000, representing the price of each additional price. As time passed, the auction venue was about half full, until the auction host appeared, and the auction officially began. Everyone, today's first auction item is the silver scale armor. This item was made by a master blacksmith in Qinghe city. The material was taken from the shell of a 900-year-old silver-armored beast. It has excellent defense. After testing by our auction house, it is enough to withstand the full-strength attack of a great soul master. At the same time, due to special processing, it is very light and can be worn with you. Silver scale armor, the starting price is 1,000 gold soul coins, and each bid must not be less than 100 gold soul coins. If you like it, don't miss it. Then the bidding begins. Under the guidance of the host, the atmosphere on the scene began to get better. It should be said that it is worthy of being an auction house established in Tiandou city. The items that can be auctioned are not comparable to the items displayed in the hall. To put it bluntly, there is nothing you dare not sell except what you can't think of. There are even slaves involved in the sale. You should know that both the Tiandou Empire and the Qinghe Empire prohibit the sale of slaves on the surface, but now it is openly displayed on the stage, and in the Tiandou Imperial City, sure enough. There must be the shadow of the Tiandou Empire behind this auction house. What? Prohibition is bullshit. It's just one thing on the surface and another behind the scenes. Lin Chuan looked at the scenes calmly, frowning from time to time, but did not move, just like a bystander. As the auction items appeared one after another, there were quite a few things he liked. Without hesitation, Lin Chuan made his move without hesitation, perhaps because Qinghe was sitting next to him. Many bidders were not too persistent. After 1 or 2 attempts, they chose to give up directly. Perhaps they wanted to do a favor and get familiar with each other. In this regard, Lin Chuan would naturally not be polite. Half an hour later, the auction officially ended. It's over, Brother Lin, Miss Douluo, let's go. Qinghe stood up and walked out along the passage. Lin Chuan and Douluo followed him out of the auction center. As soon as they went out, an auction staff came forward with a tray in his hand, on which Lin Chuan and Qinghe's auction results were respectively displayed. Your Highness, and this distinguished guest, these are your auction items. Lin Chuan carefully checked them and handed over a golden card after confirming that they were correct. Check out. Who knew that the leading girl did not take it, but smiled sweetly. Sir, someone has already paid for you. Huh? Lin Chuan and Douluo were stunned almost at the same time, and then suddenly understood. Your Highness, this is not appropriate. How can I let you pay for me? Your Highness, please take it back. Lin Chuan handed the golden card to the girl in front of him again. This. The girl looked at Lin Chuan, then at Qinghe, and was suddenly embarrassed. It's just a few things. Why should you be so polite, Brother Lin? I just feel that I'm very compatible with you. so I want to give it to you as a friend. It's just a little thought, not that exaggerated. Or is it that Brother Lin doesn't want to be friends with me? Xue Qinghe waved his hand, pretending to be unhappy. Lin Chuan suddenly didn't know what to say. In order to get closer, he really spared no effort. It's hard for ordinary people to resist this operation. The Prince of the Empire took the initiative to make friends with you, and he was willing to give you so many things. I'm afraid that for most people, they would feel flattered, right? Before she became a love-minded person, Renxue was indeed a woman with great personality charm, powerful and gentle, and most importantly, generous to the people below. It's hard to imagine that such an ambitious and forbearing existence would be swayed by emotions later. Should it be said that it is worthy of the characteristics of Douluo Continent, or the inheritance of Wuhuan? Shaking his head, he dispelled the weird thoughts in his mind. Lin Chuan took a deep breath and bowed slightly to Xue Qinghe. It is my honor to make friends with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Thank you for your kindness, I will accept it shamelessly. After saying this, he put away all the items and the gold card together. Seeing this scene, Xue Qinghe finally smiled again. That's right, but since we are already friends, there is no need to be so polite. How about this? I am a few years older than you, Brother Lin, you can call me Big Brother, this will make us closer, right? Lin Chuan. What else can he say when he meets such an active person? Okay, Big Brother Xue. Lin Chuan hesitated for a moment, but still chose to agree. Okay, I am really worthwhile to meet a friend like Brother Lin today. Xue Qinghe smiled heartily and patted Lin Chuan on the shoulder. Lin Chuan's mouth twitched, and he could only smile back. Such enthusiasm is really hard to resist. Brother Lin, Miss Dugu, after the auction, why don't you go to my house and let me treat you well? Xue Qinghe suddenly invited. Lin Chuan shook his head. Thank you for your kindness, Brother Xue, but I still have things to deal with, so I won't bother you at Brother Xue's house. If there is a chance in the future, I will visit you again. Just kidding, the prince's mansion is Xue Qinghe's territory. Although he is so enthusiastic on the surface, he is secretly calculating, so Lin Chuan naturally can't take the initiative to go to an unfamiliar place. Is that so? That's a pity. Xue Qinghe sighed lightly, full of regret in his heart, but still nodded lightly. Since Brother Lin has something to do, I won't force you to stay, but you can't refuse next time. Of course. Well, Brother Lin, go quickly, I won't see you off. After a simple farewell, Lin Chuan turned around and left the auction house with Dugu Yen. Looking at the backs of the two people going away, Xue Qinghe's eyes flickered slightly, and I don't know what he was thinking in his heart. Your Highness. At this moment, a warm voice suddenly sounded. Xue Qinghe turned around and saw a middle-aged man in gilded brocade clothes and with a magnificent demeanor walking towards him, followed by a skinny man. The people coming were Ning Fengji and Gu Rong from the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. Teacher, Senior Gu. Xue Qinghe was slightly surprised, but still greeted with respect. How come your Highness has time to go out of the palace today? Ning Fengji smiled gently and asked casually. It's just that I haven't been out for too long. It just so happens that I have time today, so I thought of walking around and taking a look at the changes in various places in the city. I'm sorry to make you laugh. Did your Highness find anything? Ning Fengji asked again. Xue Qinghe smiled and nodded. I did make a good friend. Oh. Ning Fengji raised his eyebrows slightly. Your Highness, are you talking about the young man from Tiandou College just now? This time it was Xue Qinghe's turn to be surprised. Teacher, do you know Brother Lin too? Ning Fengji nodded gently, smiling like a spring breeze. I went to Tiandou College before, and happened to meet that kid. He is indeed a very outstanding young man. Your Highness has a good eye. Hearing this, Xue Qinghe immediately became interested. Brother Lin can actually get such a high evaluation from the teacher, can you tell me about it? Then let's talk while we walk. Chapter 98 The Truth is Revealed. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Phew, it's finally out. After leaving the Tiandou auction house, Lin Chuan breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing Lin Chuan relaxed, Dugu Yen immediately pursed his lips and chuckled. Xiao Chuan, is it so exaggerated? You don't seem to like His Highness the Crown Prince very much, but he is pretty good to you. Lin Chuan smiled bitterly and shook his head. Yanzi, some things are not as simple as you see. This crown prince is indeed very enthusiastic, but he also has an agenda. What other plots can there be? The most is to recruit Xiaochuan to serve the Tiandou Empire. It would be great if that were the case. Lin Chuan chuckled lightly, but did not explain too much. No matter what, he kept his distance from His Highness the Crown Prince for the time being. Although he didn't have a bad impression of Wuhuan Palace, the prerequisite was that the person in power couldn't be Bibi Dong. That crazy woman now wants to drag the whole world to her death, and Lin Chuan has no interest in getting involved. Yanzi, it's time to go back. Coming. The two of them walked side by side towards Douluo's mansion. As night fell quietly, a luxurious carriage drove out of the gate of Tiandou City, pulled by two black horses that were hybrids of soul beasts and ordinary animals, and drove towards Qibao City. In the carriage, Ning Fengji and Gu Rong sat face to face. No matter how fast the speed is, there is no bump inside. Uncle Gu, it is exactly as we guessed. According to what Qinghe said, the young man named Lin Chuan does have a close relationship with Douluo Yan, and they are also suspected to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Ning Fengji took a sip of tea and spoke proactively. Gu Rong suddenly laughed evilly. That old poisoner really spent a lot of money. He didn't want the grandson of the old Dragon King, but chose a soul master who was born as a commoner. How courageous he is. But he did make the right bet, didn't he? Ning Fengji drank up the fragrant tea in the bowl and sighed softly. If this information didn't come from the sect, it would be really hard for me to believe that a young man of the same age as Rongrong could defeat Yu Tianheng, and he only used one move. It's incredible. In the previous chat, Ning Fengji had also learned about this from the mouth of the Shueqing River. Combined with the information previously investigated, it gave him a huge shock. Yu Tianheng is the eldest grandson of the old Dragon King, and is also one of the most outstanding twins of the younger generation of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family. He possesses the best beast martial soul in the world, and his soul power has reached level 40. His strength cannot be underestimated. Among those at the same level, it is absolutely rare for him to meet an opponent. Even with the powerful spirit of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus, even if he faced a spirit master with a spirit power several levels higher than his own, he would not necessarily be at a disadvantage. However, he lost to a spirit master. A boy several years younger than himself. It can only be described as terrifying. TSK, young people today are really awesome. Gu Rong squinted her eyes, feeling extremely shocked in her heart. Even if he is a titled Douluo now, it is impossible to compare with him at the same age. No wonder Tianxue Academy suddenly broke the tradition of many years and suddenly recruited a male soul master. For such a young genius, what's wrong even if he breaks the rules? It's a pity that Tianxue College and Douluo met such a genius first. Ning Fengji sighed regretfully and couldn't help but frown. Uncle Bones, if I invite Poison Douluo and Lin Chuan to join the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, is it possible? I'm afraid it will be difficult. Gu Rong shook his head without hesitation. Everyone knows that Douluo is withdrawn by nature and does not like to be restrained. In the past, both Tiandou Empire and Wuhuan Palace have tried to recruit each other, but all failed. As for Lin Chuan, I'm afraid it won't be easy, not to mention the resistance of Douluo, plus Qinghe is also very interested in Lin Chuan, and Ning Fengji is the prince's teacher, so it is impossible to compete with his disciples, right? If we really do that, I'm afraid it will affect the relationship between the Qibao Glazed sect and the Tiandou Empire. Yeah, it's really a headache. If only we could meet Lin Chuan earlier. Ning Fengji also smiled bitterly and shook his head, his words full of regret, but fortunately, the other party at least did not join Wuhuan Palace. Regardless of whether Tianxue Academy or the Shui family behind it, they can be considered a part of the Tiandou Empire. Even if their position is not clearly stated, there is at least a glimmer of possibility. The Qibao Glazed sect relies on the Tiandou Empire. As long as the Tiandou Empire becomes stronger, the Qibao Glazed sect will also benefit from it. Of course, it would be even better if the sect itself could be stronger. Fengji, don't be so pessimistic. With me and the old swordsman here, we can still support the Seven Treasures Glazed sect for the time being.
and there will always be one or two outstanding juniors. Although Gu Ron was a little regretful, she still smiled and comforted her. Ning Fengji did not speak, but stared down at the tea in the bowl. After a moment, he raised his head again. Uncle Gu, do you think I can imitate Dugubo and bring Rongrong and Lin Chuan together? Gu Rong took a sip of tea, squinted her eyes, and smiled a little strangely. If you're not afraid that Rongrong girl will get into trouble with you and end up making the old swordsman angry with you, then just do it. Ning Fengji. Hearing this, Ning Fengji suddenly had a headache. Forget it, there is no need to rush this matter. Let's go back and discuss it with Sword Douluo Qinghe and his daughter Ning Rongrong before making a decision. Tiandou City, Prince's Mansion. In the secret room, Renxue had already returned to her original appearance, leaning on the chair with her beautiful figure, tapping the armrest with her fingertips. Lin Chuan was born in Saomiao village, Fasnuo province of the Tiandou Empire. His father was a soldier of the Tiandou Empire and unfortunately died in battle. His mother died of childbirth. He is now less than 15 years old. He has a black bow as a martial spirit and an innate talent. Soul power level 5. Renxue checked Lin Chuan's information repeatedly, her eyebrows frowning slightly. When she got this information, her first reaction was that she couldn't believe it. How could a person with only level 5 innate soul power grow enough to defeat the fourth ring soul sect in 8 years, and his opponent was a genius with a top-notch beast martial soul? Uncle Shi, are you sure this information is true? Renxue raised her head and looked at Snake Spear Douluo who was standing below. Back to the young master, my subordinates have confirmed again and again, and even found the person who performed the martial arts awakening for him. It is indeed true that he only has level 5 innate soul power. Hearing this, Renxue's fingertips tapped faster and faster. It's incredible. No wonder Dugubo is willing to match him. So the pills and special soul tools suddenly sold by the Shui family, as well as the sudden increase in Dugubo's strength, should have been made by me, Brother Lin. Renxue suddenly nodded with a clear expression. Then everything makes sense. So by chance, he received the inheritance from an unknown large-scale ruins. Not only did he have the method of making pills, but he also mastered the technology of making soul tools. Only in this way can it be explained. Thinking of this, Renxue's expression suddenly became extremely serious. If everything is as she guessed, then Lin Chuan is bound to master the pills that can enhance soul power, and at the same time, he may also master the craftsmanship of more powerful soul guides. No matter which one it is enough to affect the pattern of the mainland. No, this kind of special genius must be in hand, otherwise it may affect Wuhuan Palace's follow-up plans. This is something Renxue absolutely cannot bear. Actively woo and solicit. It is not impossible to rely on the good impression left today, but the cycle is too long. If it fails, it will give the other party enough time to become stronger, then do it directly. Now that Dugubo's strength has greatly increased, he needs at least 2 to 3 titled Douluo of the same level to succeed. It is obviously impossible to rely only on the Snake Spear Douluo and the Array Douluo around him. If you want to be safe, you can only ask for help from Wuhuan Palace. Renxue's eyes narrowed slightly and she began to think silently in her heart. No, the commotion caused by direct action now is too great, which may arouse the vigilance of the 2 empires and other sects, and may even make Ning Fengji suspicious. After careful consideration, Renxue gave up and sent people to Tianshui College directly. Then, let's proceed with both methods at the same time for the time being. You can temporarily win over Lin Chuan. If it succeeds, it will be great, and you can figure out the source of the pills and soul guides. But if it fails, you can make up for it later. There are only a few days left for the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition. With Lin Chuan's strength, he can definitely lead Tianshui Academy to the finals. This year's competition will be hosted by Wuhuan Palace, and the finals will also be held in Wuhuan City. At that time, when Tianshui Academy goes to Wuhuan City to compete, they can send someone to keep Lin Chuan behind. As the headquarters of Wuhuan City, there are many titled Douluo guarding it. Even if Dugubo becomes stronger, he still cannot save Lin Chuan by himself. Just do it. Renxue burned the information in her hand, then picked up a writing brush.
dipped it in ink, and started writing on a piece of clean paper. Uncle Shi, please make one more trip and make sure to hand over this letter to my grandfather in its entirety. After a while, Renxue put down the pen again and packed the written letter paper at the same time. Snake Spear Douluo took the envelope solemnly, his eyes firm. Please rest assured, young master, I will definitely deliver the letter to the great worshipper intact. Well, go quickly before you have a long night of dreams. As you command. After Snake Spear Douluo clasped his fists respectfully, he quickly turned around and left. Renxue leaned back on the chair again, looking at the candlelight on the table, her beautiful eyes flickering slightly. Brother Lin, you really gave me a big surprise. Inside the Dugu mansion, Lin Chuan and Dugu Yan returned early. After dinner, as he was preparing to rest, 3 guests suddenly came to the yard. Old Poison, long time no see. No one has seen it, but the sound has arrived. An old man with grey beard and grey hair walked towards him. He was obviously very familiar with Dugu Bo. He had a hearty smile on his face, followed by 2 women with very similar looks behind him. One of them was Yilingling, whom he had met once before at Tiandou Royal Academy, and the other was slightly older and should be Yilingling's mother. Ling Ling. Dugu Yan looked happy and hurriedly greeted him. Chapter 99 Not Shabby. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yanzi, Yilingling nodded gently in response. I can hear your loud voice from far away, it's really noisy. Dugu Bo snorted lightly, his words full of disgust. However, the white-haired old man didn't care, but laughed heartily. There's nothing I can do. I'm old and can't change it, but I feel relieved to see that you, the old poisonous thing, are still alive. Humph, I'm a titled Douluo, even if you die, I won't die. The 2 of them spoke tit for tat, staring at each other, and the next moment they laughed at the same time. Old poisonous thing, long time no see, I'm sorry to bother you today. The old man stopped his action and said calmly. Hearing this, Dugu Bo immediately looked unhappy. Old thing, if you are so distant again, get out of here. You old poisonous thing. The white-haired old man was a little helpless, but he also knew that Dugu Bo was not joking, so he could only nod. The next moment, his expression became serious. Old poison, I heard Lingling say it all. Are you sure you are not joking? Are you sure you can solve the defects of the 9-heart Begonia? Since I asked you to come here, you must be sure. Come in and sit down and talk slowly. Dugu Bo has also experienced the mixed emotions of expectation and uneasiness, so he naturally understands the other party's mood. Really? The old man's body trembled violently, and the sunken eye sockets suddenly lit up. His lips trembled slightly, and he nodded uncontrollably. Okay, then let's go in quickly. Yilingling and her mother were also a little excited. The group of people passed through the front yard and entered the hall one after another. Dugu Yan consciously prepared tea and placed it on each table, but the 3 generations of Yilingling's family had no mood to taste it. Yan is getting more and more beautiful, but let's not drink tea today, old poison, let's get down to business. Don't worry, let me introduce you to someone first. Dugu Bo's voice was hoarse, and he turned his head to look at his side. This is Lin Chuan, my friend. Lin, you should have seen Yilingling. This old guy is Yilingling's grandfather. As for the other one, it is Yilingling's mother, Yirong. Lin Chuan put down the tea bowl in his hand and bowed to the 2. Hello, Senior Gu, hello, Aunt Yi. Yirong nodded slightly in response, but Gu Yi smiled back. You are too polite, since you are old poison's friend, you are naturally my friend. After all, there are not many people who can be recognized by Dugu Bo, and the young man in front of him must have something extraordinary. While Gu Yi was observing himself, Lin Chuan was also looking at them. Needless to say, Gu Yi, who looked like an ordinary old man, gave people a very approachable feeling, but the well-hidden aura was no joke. If you really dared to treat him as an ordinary old man, you would be in big trouble. Yilingling's mother, Yirong, was wearing a palace dress with a graceful figure. The years seemed to have left no obvious traces on her face. Sitting with Yilingling, they looked more like sisters than mother and daughter. Since we all know each other, let's talk business.
Douluo coughed twice and took the initiative to take over the conversation. Old Gu, Lingling should have explained the situation to you clearly. Since you are here, you should have made plans, right? Old Poison, tell me first, are you sure you are not joking? Gu Yi asked instead of answering. Douluo did not explain and directly chose to possess his martial spirit. A low dragon roar sounded, and Douluo's legs and arms swelled and turned into sharp dragon claws. At the same time, there was a yellow and green dragon tail swaying slightly behind him. Your martial soul has evolved. Seeing this scene, Gu Yi's eyes widened, and his heart was filled with deep shock. As one of Douluo's few friends, he knew more or less about the other party's situation. It's only been a few years since we last met, has it changed so much? Old Poison, is your body okay? Douluo nodded, it has been completely resolved. Not only that, my martial soul has evolved from the green phosphorus snake king to the green phosphorus earth dragon, and my strength has also been greatly improved. Those guys won't be able to look down on me in the future. The facts are in front of us, and we have to believe it. How did you do it? Gu Yi asked hurriedly. Douluo chuckled and took back his martial soul, feeling quite happy. This feeling of showing off in front of acquaintances is really wonderful. I'm just lucky. Everything is thanks to Lin, and if I want to solve the defects of the 9-heart Begonia martial soul, I still have to rely on him. Gu Yi was slightly surprised. That is to say, he has been friends with Douluo for many years and knows that this old poisoner will not joke about such things. If it were anyone else, he would think that the other party was crazy and talking nonsense, but it was Douluo who said this, and he also showed his own changes, which was very convincing. Little friend Lin, I believe what the old poisoner said. If you can really do it, please help me. My Yi family will be grateful and will definitely give you a satisfactory thank you gift. Gu Yi stood up and bowed to Lin Chuan. Yi Lingling and her daughter also stood up and saluted at the same time. Lin Chuan quickly reached out to support Gu Yi. Senior Gu, you are too polite. You are friends with Senior Douluo, and Yanzi is also close to Miss Yi. Naturally, I will not stand idly by. But there are some things that I may have to discuss with Senior first. I can try to solve the characteristics limitations of Jiuxin Haitang martial spirit, but since the situation is different from that of Senior Douluo, I am not 100% sure, so whether I should accept it or not, Senior Gu had better think carefully. Some things should be discussed in advance to avoid misunderstandings later. Hearing this, Gu Yi hesitated for a moment. Just when he was hesitating, Yi Lingling suddenly said, Grandpa, I want to lift the restrictions of Jiuxin Haitang's martial spirit. Ling. Yi Rong's complexion changed slightly and she held her daughter's hand. However, what he saw was a beautiful face full of determination. Mother, this is the curse of Jiuxin Begonia. I don't want you to be like Grandma in the future, so no matter what, I must solve this problem. Seeing the determination on her daughter's face, Yi Rong was moved. I don't know how long it has been, but Yi Lingling hasn't had such a vivid expression on her face. She vaguely remembers that the last time was 6 years ago, but since Wuhuan awakened Jiuxin Haitang, everything has changed. At this moment, Yi Rong suddenly felt that her daughter had grown up. Mom knows, Grandpa and I support your decision. Solving the limitations of Jiuxin Haitang's martial spirit is the lifelong wish of every generation of the Yi family. Now that there is this opportunity, even if there are certain risks, it is worth fighting for it. Seeing this situation, Gu Yi could only swallow his words. Little friend Lin, feel free to do what you do. Regardless of whether it can be solved or not, our Yi family will remember your kindness and repay it with all our strength. Gu Yi spoke loudly and made a promise solemnly. Okay, since Senior Gu insists, I will naturally do my best. Lin Chuan was not surprised, or in other words, he had expected this situation. But please rest assured, Senior Gu. Since I dare to say this, I am naturally certain that at least 70% will be successful. As for the remaining 30%, I will leave it to fate. Then little friend Lauren will have to worry about it. Gu Yi breathed a sigh of relief.
I originally thought it was only 20% or 30% sure at most, but I didn't expect it to be as high as 70%, which is not unacceptable. If it really succeeds, even if it doesn't evolve the martial soul like Douluo did, it will be enough as long as it can solve the problem of martial soul limitations. I still need some time to prepare, and I will notify Senior Gu then. No problem. We've been waiting for so long anyway, so there's no rush. Little Yulin can just prepare slowly, don't be too anxious. Why don't you, Lingling, transfer to Renxue College? But at this moment, Duguyen suddenly interrupted. Everyone was stunned in place, seeing several people looking at each other. Duguyen quickly explained, that's it. Didn't Xiaochuan say that he wanted to study Jiuxin Begonia first? Lingling is not around, so it is impossible to run in both directions, so for the sake of convenience, it is better to let Lingling transfer to Renxue College. If Lingling joins us, our Renxue team will be even more powerful, and we will definitely be able to win the Continental Soul Master Elite competition by then. Guyi's expression was extremely exciting, and he shook his head with a smile. Xiao Yan, it's not that easy to win the championship. It is said that Wuhuan Palace will send a saint to participate this year, and there will be 2 other saints to join the competition. The strength of the members of the Golden Generation cannot be underestimated. Grandpa Gu, the Golden Generation can never be Xiaochuan's opponent. Besides, we are not soft persimmons either. Dugu Yen snorted, and a wave of soul power emerged from his body. This is, Xiao Yan, have you broken through the soul sect? Gu Yi looked shocked. You must know that Dugu Yen is only about 2 years older than Yi Lingling and had reached level 38 a year ago. It is normal to break through the soul sect, but this fluctuation in soul power is obviously not as simple as being in the early 40s, facing the shocked eyes of everyone. Dugu Yen smiled proudly. To be precise, my current soul power is level 49. Yi Lingling was stunned for a moment. It was obviously beyond her expectations. She is only level 41 now. In the past, the difference was only 3 levels, but now the gap has widened, which is really unexpected. Awesome, old poisonous creature, you have a successor. Gui sighed softly, his words full of envy. There was a hint of pride on Dugubo's face, but then he shook his head. Yan is indeed working hard, but hard work alone cannot improve the 10th level of soul power in 1 year, thanks to this kid. Are you saying that Xiao Yulin can help others increase their soul power cultivation speed? Dugubo smiled mysteriously. Do you know about the pills that suddenly appeared on the market? Of course I know, but there is news that you didn't invent it. Could it be that? Guyi's eyes widened slightly, apparently having guessed something. Is it possible that there are pills that can enhance soul power? Dugubo just smiled softly and didn't explain too much. Just his meaningful eyes were enough to explain a lot of problems. Realizing this, Guyi slammed the table. Isn't it just to transfer to Renxue College? Transfer, this study must be transferred. It doesn't matter whether the soul is powerful. The main reason is to facilitate Lin Xiaoyu to study the martial spirit of Jiuxin Haitang, so as to increase the possibility of solving the restrictions. Ronger, tomorrow you go to Tiandou Royal Academy to help Lingling withdraw from school. Gu Yi made a decision quite decisively. Dugubo couldn't help laughing. You old guy. Gu Yi didn't react at all. Cultivation, not shabby. Chapter 100 An Unexpected Surprise. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The next morning, Yi Rong took Yi Lingling to Tiandou Royal Academy to withdraw from school. When they learned the news, many teachers in the academy were very surprised. In the end, they even alarmed the 3 teaching committee members to come in person to retain her. Unfortunately, Yi Lingling had already decided to leave. In addition, it was even more impossible for Yi Rong to come in person. Tiandou Royal Academy is just a soul master school. It is impossible to force students to stay, right? Originally, Dugu Yan's departure had greatly reduced the strength of the Royal Do team. Now that Yi Lingling, as an auxiliary soul master, has also left, the team can be said to have suffered another heavy blow. I am afraid that even if I submit to the finals, I will not be able to go far. Alas, I really don't know what's going on. It's really a headache. Don't complain.
Let's think about who to find to fill Yi Lingling's position. That the 3 Seoul Douluo teaching committee members couldn't help but sigh and could only return to the teaching building to start thinking about countermeasures. This news was not covered up and soon spread. In the prince's mansion, Qinghe did not go to Tiandou Royal Academy to study today. As the prince, in addition to daily practice, he also had to go to the palace to learn how to handle government affairs, which was very busy. What? Yi Lingling also dropped out of school. After hearing the news, Qinghe was also stunned. She was fine 2 days ago, why did she suddenly drop out of school? Have you investigated where Yi Lingling has been these days? The female manager of the prince's mansion standing by responded quickly, Your Highness, according to the news, Yi Rong, the head of the Yi family, took Yi Lingling to Douluo mansion last night, and did not come out until the morning, and then went directly to the academy to handle the withdrawal. Douluo mansion. Hearing this, Qinghe understood instantly. Yi Lingling is afraid that she will also transfer to Tianxue Academy like Douluo Yan. I just don't know what they talked about, but they were able to persuade Yi Lingling to transfer to another school. It seems that the appeal of brother Lin is greater than I imagined. However, this also indirectly proves that Lin Chuan does have a big secret. Follow me out of the palace to meet the Yi family. It would be best if you can persuade Yi Lingling to come back. Now he plays the role of the crown prince of the Tiandou Empire. Since he knows that the Royal Dou team has such a situation, he naturally cannot sit idly by, but the words of the housekeeper of the crown prince's mansion made Qinghe stop. Your Highness, it's too late. The news from the chief guard of the city is that 2 luxurious carriages left the city early in the morning, and sitting on them are His Majesty the Poison Douluo and the head of the Yi family. Qinghe. Well, you can leave if you succeed, and you are just here to fleece the Tiandou Royal Academy, right? You are really good. Qinghe was also angry and laughed. Forget it, since they have already left, there is no need to chase them, just let them go. Shaking his head gently, Qinghe sat down again. What happened to the Royal Dou team in the end was not of much concern to him. This was something that the Tiandou Royal Academy Education Committee needed to worry about. They had already left, so he didn't need to pretend to keep them. Lin Chuan, I hope you can give me a satisfactory answer when we meet next time, otherwise. Lure, change my clothes for me, I have to go to the palace to see my father. Yes, Your Highness. On the other side, Lin Chuan and others rushed back to Tianxue Academy without stopping. There were 3 people when they went out, but when they came back, they doubled. Are the dean and the others not back yet? Originally, Lin Chuan wanted to tell Shui Lanxin that he had brought back another good seedling for her, but who would have thought that she and Leng Man took the members of the Tianxue team out to hunt souls, and they haven't come back until now. But it's true, this soul hunting is a big project. In addition to the girls who need to obtain the 4th soul ring, Leng Man also needs to hunt the 8th soul ring. Just finding a suitable soul beast will take a lot of time. Senior Gu, it seems that I have to trouble you to wait for a few days. Gui chuckled and shook his head nonchalantly. It's okay, just wait for Dean Shui to come back. It's just right for us to get familiar with Tianxue city during this time. Lingling, why don't you stay in the academy and live with me? Douluo Yan hugged Yi Lingling's arm and took the initiative to invite. Xiao Yan is right, Lingling, you stay in Tianxue College, just in time to cooperate with Lin Xiaoyou's preparations. Your mother and I live in Tianxue city. If you need anything, just come to us directly. Hearing Gu Yi's words, Yi Lingling nodded obediently. Friend Lin, old poison, we'll take our leave first. It's been a long time since I last met you, old man. Let's find a place to have a drink. That would be great. Douluo also left with Gu Yi and Yi Rong. Let's go, Lingling, follow me to the residence first, and then I'll take you to visit Tianxue College. Although it's slightly inferior to Tiandou Royal College, it will definitely not disappoint you. Yi Lingling nodded expressionlessly, but she was quite looking forward to it, perhaps because there was hope to solve the martial spirit restriction. The loneliness and desolation on the girl's body obviously dissipated by half, and even her eyes were not as empty as before, but flickered with light. Then I'll go back first. He would not participate in the activities between the girls. What's more, after being out for so long,
he also needed a good rest, but Lin Chuan originally thought that he would be separated from the two girls. Who would have thought that there were fewer and fewer female students wearing school uniforms around, and Dugu Yan and Yi Lingling were still with them? Lin Chuan suddenly looked puzzled. Yanzi, didn't you take Miss Yi to your residence? Hey, I'm just taking Lingling to her apartment. Dugu Yan stuck out his tongue playfully. Huh? When Lin Chuan heard this, he suddenly realized something and looked strange. So the extra wooden house by the lake behind the college belongs to you, Yanzi? Xiao Chuan, you finally realized it. Then why haven't I seen you living there before? Lin Chuan asked again. I lived in the dormitory before. As for why I didn't live here. Dugu Yan blinked, then raised his lips and chuckled. I won't tell you, Lingling, let's leave quickly. That the girl left a sweet smile like a silver bell, and then she pulled Yi Lingling and ran. Lin Chuan fell behind and couldn't help but smile and shook his head. Although Dugu Yan said nothing, her ever-changing emotions were captured by Lin Chuan without reservation. This girl, returning to the familiar lake, bursts of water vapor hit our faces. Dugu Yan has already brought Yi Lingling into the newly built wooden house, and from time to time, pleasant conversations can be heard. Open the door and enter your house. Lin Chuan sat carelessly on the chair and couldn't help but let out a soft sigh of comfort. Sure enough, no matter what time, it was more comfortable to stay in his own little nest. Then now we have to think carefully about how to solve Jiuxin Haitang's problem. Lin Chuan leaned back on the chair, closed his eyes and fell into deep thought. The characteristics of Jiuxin Haitang are too special. At least with the abilities that Lin Chuan currently possesses, there is no good way to directly solve it. The only way is to use elixirs to evolve Jiuxin Haitang into other martial arts spirits. But even so, he didn't know whether the evolved martial soul would eliminate the characteristic that only two soul masters could exist before. But I think it shouldn't be a problem, right? That if you think about it carefully, in the original work, Yu Shaojiang's limit of 20nf level soul power can be broken through with the help of herbal medicine. After Ma Hongjun took the herbal medicine, the problem of evil fire was also solved. Even Ning Rongrong's can only have 7 soul rings attached. The 7 treasures glazed pagoda has successfully evolved into the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. I think a pill with a stronger effect shouldn't cause any problems. After thinking about this, Lin Chuan suddenly became full of confidence. So the most suitable elixir for Yi Lingling is the elixir made from Qilua tulip as the main medicine. It can definitely promote the evolution of his martial spirit, but it will also need some auxiliary medicinal materials. Lin Chuan opened his eyes, took out a pen and paper, and wrote down all the missing herbs. At this time, dong dong dong, there was a knock on the door. Come in. Xiao Chuan, I brought Lingling to find you. Dugu Yan pushed open the door and walked in. His big eyes looked around him wantonly, and then he showed a satisfied smile, clean and tidy, a plus. You guys came just in time. These are some herbs I need. Please give them to Miss Yi and give them to Senior Gu to help collect them. Lin Chuan handed over the paper in his hand unceremoniously. Yi Lingling subconsciously reached out to take it, and Dugu Yan on the side also stepped forward curiously. There are so many, are they all used to solve the problem of Ling Ling's martial soul? Lin Chuan did not hide it, and admitted it generously. Of course, this is an idea I just had, and it should be able to promote the evolution of Jiuxin Begonia. Real? Dugu Yan exclaimed, and Yi Lingling's eyes also shone. Suddenly, the girl took the initiative to release her martial spirit. The 9-hearted begonia flower appeared in Yi Lingling's hand. This is a pink begonia flower, composed of white and pink petals. The flower is bright in color and graceful in shape. The leaves and branches slide down from both sides, and the soft vines catch the wind. I have to say that it is indeed quite beautiful in appearance. Dugu Yan suddenly felt a little cold. Lingling, what are you doing? Didn't Lin Chuan say that he wanted to study my martial spirit? Although he has already figured out a way, maybe he will be more confident after taking another look. Listening to Yi Lingling's words, Lin Chuan had a strange expression. It was just a casual remark, just to make Gu Yi believe what he said. Otherwise, it would be unconvincing to say that he could solve the flaws in the martial spirit without even seeing it. Unexpectedly, Yi Lingling actually took it seriously. But now that everything has been released, let's take a look. Lin Chuan stretched out his hand to hold the nine-hearted begonia in his hand. A warm feeling came over him instantly. The begonia flower began to bloom, and streams poured into his body. Is this Jiuxin Haitang's treatment? It is indeed very powerful. After feeling it carefully, Lin Chuan couldn't help but show surprise on his face. This feeling is like being soaked in a hot spring, which comes from the comfort of the soul. No wonder the healing ability of Jiuxin Begonia is so powerful. This huge life energy alone can pull you back by force, not to mention resurrection from the dead. As long as you still have breath, even if you have half your foot on the Naiha bridge, you have carefully understood the world, gained a little bit, and gained some understanding of the power of life. Lin Chuan's eyes suddenly glowed with light. There's an unexpected surprise. Sure enough, it was a very correct decision to agree to help Yi Lingling solve the martial arts problem. Perhaps in the future, there will be an extra tool person to help me comprehend the power of the law. After all, I have helped so much, so I think he will not refuse, right?